to another edition of Business Perspective for December 1st, 2011. I'm your host, Alpuche. Tonight we continue our series on investment in Belize, and in particular we'll be discussing financing for investment. Before going to our first break, we would like to thank our sponsors, Brothers Habit Limited, Pandora's Window Box Nursery, The Angelus Press, Idea Lab Studios, and of course the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry Western Union, the only network that has been awarded the 5-star Quality Service Award by Western Union. Thank you, and we now go to our first break.
The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Western Union, has recently been distinguished by receiving the 5-star Quality Service Award from Western Union.
The 5-star Quality Service Award signifies that the Chamber holds the gold standard in outstanding customer service, in being courteous, efficient, and transparent in the services we provide.
Can you receive superior customer service at any of our chamber locations? Yes.
Come and visit us today!
Brothers Habet's amazing 28th anniversary sale. Brothers Habet has been serving Belize for 28 great years, and we're celebrating bigger than ever with a month full of great deals and savings like 30% off select mowing products, 30% off butane water heaters, 20 to 30% off Hunter fans, 20% off all windows, 20% off all power tools and shop tools, 30% off compact fluorescent bulbs, and up to 80% off clearance items in our super yard sale. And best of all, 20% off all Hispa Senza tiles all month long. Too much deals for one commercial, so see store for details. Come, celebrate with us for huge pre-Christmas savings all month long. Brothers Habet's amazing 28th anniversary sale. 115 Barak Road, we're open through lunch.
Welcome back. Our guests this evening are two distinguished ladies. On my right I have Mrs. Natalie Goff, who is currently the General Manager of the Development Finance Corporation since 2008. Mrs. Goff is very familiar with the management of the day-to-day operations of the DFC, as she had previously worked at the corporation for some 12 years in the capacity of financial controller and accountant upon her departure in 2000. Ms. Goff is currently tasked with the responsibility of overseeing the reconstruction of the DFC since lending operations were resumed. Ms. Goff has also served as Executive Director of the Belize Credit Union League and worked at the Central Bank and in consultancies. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
On my left, I have Mrs. Corine Fuller. Mrs. Fuller, I was looking at your bio and I didn't know you served some time at the Ministry of Finance as a financial analyst. Later she worked as manager of a mortgage portfolio and general manager of a building society. She was instrumental in the establishment of the Unit Trust Corporation of Belize Limited and was that institution's CEO for the past 7 years. Currently, she is the Executive Director of the Belize Credit Union League. Welcome, Corine.
Thank you.
This evening, on the past two previous shows, we discussed the investment climate. Last week, we discussed with Beltrade their role, their strategic plans for the investment climate and for investments in Belize. One of the key discussions we had relates to financing and the cost of financing one of their strategic objective of their policy objective is greater development of the small and medium enterprise sector. DFC has been playing an important role in that. The credit unions have been playing an important role in that. Probably we could start with Natalie, if you could give us an outline of the role of the DFC.
Okay, DFC releases, as far as I know, only Development Bank or Premier Development Bank. It was first established way back in the 1960s under the first Prime Minister of Belize. But to cut a long story short, had its problems and was reconstructed in 2009 when it resumed lending after suspension of lending for a number of years. As a development bank, DFC does project-based lending. And I guess that's why we get complaints as we take long and things like that, because we look at a project and the flows towards your loan or the payments towards your loan should come from the project itself. In contrast to a commercial bank, we take into consideration the 5 C's of credit, the person's character, collateral, but our lending is not based solely on whether or not you're collateral, because that should be the last resort. We're looking to promote economic development in the country. And so our lending is geared towards economic development through some activity, economic activity in the country, whether it's in the agricultural, industrial sector. We do mortgage financing, but I think that is more towards balancing the risk in terms of our lending. But our lending is developmental in nature, and we don't do personal loans and of that nature.
And the credit unions, Corine, if you could give
well, the credit unions, similar to a certain extent, like the DFC, when we go further, we do a lot of the personal loans. And so a lot of the lending is based on the character and the collateral and so on. But credit unions more and more are getting into financing entrepreneurial projects for their members. And so we are looking to being able to analyze as well what our members are doing to make sure that the cash flows from their what they're doing will be able to repay the loan. So we do some project lending, of course, but a lot of it is personal lending. You're a member of a credit union, you participate in the profits. You have a say, really. Actually, or we've changed our tagline to save, manage, own. So it's a little different from the development corporation. And we focus a lot on private lending, personal lending, but we're branching off. In fact, as the show goes on, we'll talk a little bit about some of the projects that we've gotten into. And the microfinance project is one where we're going into the rural areas to provide financing to rural poor. And the credit unions also see an opportunity to provide financing to the those in the urban areas as well, because they need financing for their different projects.
But those are lending to non-members, or only members?
To members. That's one of the basis for borrowing in a credit union. You have to be a member.
So you're still confined to members only, and that's a distinct difference from the DFC.
Yes, anybody can come into apply for a loan at the DFC. You just have to qualify.
Yeah, the credit unions work on the DFC on different occasions, and we have an arrangement right now that we're working on for the Belize Rural Finance Program. So yeah, we do get the financing from the DFC as well. And a little bit about the league. The league represents credit unions. There are 12 credit unions that are affiliated members of the Belize Credit Union League. So when I say credit unions, I mean most of the credit unions in Belize that are represented by the league.
So you're the umbrella organization that does some of the advocacy and
yes,
coordination?
Yes, we do advocacy, coordination, development of the credit unions. So the purpose of the league really is to strengthen numbers. You know, it's to really focus on strengthening the credit unions as a body. And through the league, they have a voice for different things that we would have to advocate along with our regulators, along with, with the governmental regulators, and we work together for certain things. They're different. All credit unions are different, even though we have the same philosophy, but they're really different. And so it is just managing that difference, those differences, and managing our resources together so that as a group we're able to accomplish more.
Turnover, because most people tend to think of financing investment usually in terms of larger projects. They have this notion that an investment is a larger project, but quite frankly we found that in most economies the small and medium enterprises are the real true engines of growth. And from that perspective, what volumes do you handle in terms of, well, DFC is recently back on streaming lending mode, but what's your volume and what more or less is the volume from the credit union?
Well, that is one of the areas I would say when we first started that was keeping the corporation alive.
Okay.
Because apart from the student loans, which we don't even have to promote student loans. As you know, we've already run out of funding for education or student loans. The microloans, and you have small and micro enterprise, but we have been gearing more towards the micro enterprise loans, so $8,000 a year, $10,000 loan. That the demand for those loans are extremely high, and I guess it's a result of the state of the economy. People will survive one way or the other, and probably the economic situation that we find ourselves in is good because it promotes entrepreneurship and things like that, and that is why the board of directors at the DFC, recognizing that it's also a mandate of the government of Belize, has decided that it will get into microenterprise lending. I don't think we are competing, but we are not taking anybody else's share because I think the demand is out there for the microenterprise. And since we started, I think, 2010, and we have approved over 400 microenterprise loans small. And these are average 8,000, between 8 and 10,000.
So that's your lowest amount.
Services, and that is apart from the crop loans and sugar and other loans like that.
But in total, in terms of DFC's, the impact in terms of the economy, in terms of lending there?
It's about $3.5 million that we have loaned out so far in microenterprise. We had our first line from the Central Bank of Belize, and we got equity from the government of Belize last year of some $3.5 billion, and we have used up most of that money. So combined with the funds that we received.
But your total portfolio since you've restarted, an approximate?
DFC has loaned out in excess of $35 million
since you've come back on
since we've come back. And to qualify as a development bank, your portfolio should be about 60 to 70% in developmental loans. Okay. Now, I cannot say our portfolio is that at this time because we had a mortgage portfolio for the most part when we started to lend. Okay. And so we have had to build back the developmental portion of the portfolio. But the way we're going to do that is not to lend less in mortgage financing, but to increase our lending to the developmental sector. And we're hoping that within the next year or two, we will be at that 60% mark.
And an overview of your members?
Well, the loans portfolio is about 400 million for the credit union sector, the entire credit union sector. I really don't know what portion of that would be micro loan, but I know a considerable portion, about almost 200 million is mortgage loans. So quite a, probably about...
But that's 400 in terms of an annual or...
the total.
Total, okay, all right, cumulative portfolio that's out there right now.
Yeah.
So I think that really paints the picture that although you tend to deal with small loans, cumulatively you're having quite a significant impact on economic activity.
There is a need. Natalie mentioned your lowest value would be like 8,000 for your micro?
Not lowest,
Okay.
Average.
That's your average,
Yeah,
okay.
that's our
Good.
average.
Good, okay.
An average of, that's in the micro loans.
It's
No,
the micro.
that's not an average of our loans,
No,
because
no.
DFC can
Oh, yeah.
go
Yeah.
up to $2.5 million.
Yeah.
Alone.
But I was thinking, in contrast with the credit unions, there is a need for even smaller loans for credit union members, up to $300. You could use to assist you in your micro business. So the audience is a little different, I think,
Yes.
where the individual would probably feel comfortable going to their credit union to get a loan for $300 to assist their small business. And of course, it ranges from a very, very small business to a medium-sized enterprise at the credit union.
But DFC, the project financing, some of the larger financing recently responding to natural disasters, for example, in the citrus and banana industry, but beyond that.
We've been receiving a lot of applications lately, especially in the tourism sector and the agricultural sector. You talk about the banana. No, it's not banana support, the banana rehab program that we have as a result of the storms that we had early in September. The board of directors availed a line of credit of $4 million. As far as I'm aware, about 3.5 or a little more has been taken up so far in terms of applications. These loans were made directly to the banana farmers. Apart from that, earlier this year we launched our sugarcane replanting program. You may have heard of the EU support program that has not quite come on stream with regards to a line of credit for sugar replanting. DFC saw a need, and without any prodding from anybody, the board of directors decided to avail a line of credit. And we'll have a second tranche for 2012. These are what I'm telling you, that our loans are productive sector loans. We all know that in order to increase sugar productivity in of sugarcane, we need improved outputs. Well, we need improved outputs from the fields, and to do that we have to replant. I don't know about the technicalities, but I can assure you that that is one area that we are trying to help, so that the farmers can increase their output and get improved prices for sugar. And so DFC will see a need in that area. It may not be as profitable as financing a $200,000 home, but we are hoping that the benefit that will accrue to the economy because of that investment will, in the end, have a greater impact on the economic development in our country.
We must now go to a break, but when we come back, I'd like to discuss the being creative. How can we be more relevant to the business community out there? We now go to a break, and we'll be right back.
This season, say happy holidays to your customers the personal way. Get your personalized corporate holiday greeting cards now at Idea Lab Studios, and we'll give you the design at 50% off with orders of 500 or more. Get your 2012 calendars ready too with custom desk, wall, and pocket calendars. Idea Lab Studios, where ideas take shape. Call us today at 223-6386 or visit our website at www.idealabstudios.com.
So why should you shop at CGI? Because they have it all. At CGI, they offer every promotional product you can dream of. T-shirts, pens, key holders, mugs, signs, full-color banners, dickies, trophies and awards, jerseys, rubber stamps, embroidery, and so much more. When they say everything, they mean everything. All printed in their facility in Orange Walk with the highest quality at the best prices using state-of-the-art equipment. At CGI, they want you to have the best shopping experience possible. They are the promotional product powerhouse you need to get the job done. CGI looks forward to serving you. Call 322-2282 or 422-0151. CGI, products that promote.
Introducing eZone Belize, the fastest, most reliable way to ship internet purchases and just about anything to Belize. It's easy, affordable, and fast. We provide you with a personal U.S. address and ship twice a week direct to Belize for as low as $1.55 U.S. Ship it safely and reliably with eZone Belize. Call us at 322-2283 for details and start shipping today, or visit our website at getezone.com.
Welcome back, and we go to our second segment. At the break, we had discussed what else can be done. There's a general either perception or reality out there that interest rates are high. It's very hard to access finances. We don't have the commercial banks represented here tonight, but we have two, as we outlined earlier, that are injecting a considerable amount of money into the system. From your perspective, what's the truth behind this?
Well, for the credit unions, I think we have been used to this 1% per month on the reducing balance for, I don't know, probably from the time credit union started. But I think we need to start looking on the cost that the credit unions incur to give loans. If you have loans that you have to be running after, that you have to spend a lot of time and effort into making them work, then you have to consider the costs to the credit unions. And then we have to stop putting ourselves, I think, in this 12% straitjacket and to look on what it really costs. And having said that, there is also the need, I think, to it's possible that you could get loans for lower than 12%. You might have clients that won't, that you don't have to spend so much time and energy on.
Right, the risk factor is not there.
So I think, I'm not sure if all the credit unions will agree with me. In fact, I know all of them won't agree with me. But we need to look at risk-based pricing of our loans. I think that's very important.
Basically rating your, in your case, your members who are also your customers, exactly, and deciding that you are less risk.
Exactly. And also the purposes of the loans, that lends to the risk factor as well. And because actually some of the competition that we get are other institutions that where the interest rate is very, very high. So if we have our members going to these institutions because it's easy for them to get a loan, we need to look at ourselves to see what service can we provide to retain our membership. Because there is no doubt that we have the resources to provide our membership with loans. So we have to tailor how we do business to meet their needs.
But I know the DFC has an additional problem, sort of legacy problem, in that I could borrow and maybe I don't have to pay back. Even so, the interest rate might be another story.
Well, I can tell you that is not there anymore. We have some of the same problems like Corine referred to. In fact, I think someone referred to DSC as Android. We're so straitjacket. And I think we have to look at ourselves likewise. As I say, we say that we are project-based lending. You come to us, and if the project, when you finish your forecast and you see that that project can pay for the loan, why is it that you will tie this person up with 1.5% in collateral and things like that? Or just to give you an example, we have a student loan. We don't want to say student loan, but say we have a developmental loan for $20,000. And the person has $20,000 in deposit at a financial institution that they are going to assign to you. Why can't you give, it's a much lower risk. You're assigned cash. Why does that person have to get the same rate? So we're looking at the same risk-based lending. But that comes with its own problems in that people will be asking, they don't know why is Corine getting 10% and somebody else is getting 12%. So as a state-owned bank, we have to be careful of issues like that. But with regards to the interest rates, I think DFC has really been pushing the limit in terms of interest rates. We all know that we started out, I think, at 14%, and I know the housing loan was 14%, and I think developmental was a little bit less. And I would have to admit that very few people came through our doors at that time, and so right away we knew we had to reduce the rates. At present, our the rate on developmental loans, and when I refer to developmental loans, it's not only agriculture, but it's tourism, it's small business services, any that will promote developmental activity. It's at 10.75%. And
that's on a reducing balance?
That's on a reducing balance. But we've had special programs like the banana relief programs I referred to, that was at 9%. Our microloans are at 8%. And we have recently launched a line of credit that will promote exports, whether it's to the region or internationally, and to promote the development of energy efficiency and green development, and that's at 8.5%. So I think, again, I don't know how many people know that we have these programs there at DFC, and so we have to get the word out on these programs. But I must say applications with regards to loans have increased significantly, I would say, over the last 6 months. Our loan approvals have, in 3 months, ending September, almost doubled what we did in the first half of the year. In terms of size and in terms of numbers. We just have to do more marketing. We also have to expand the basket that we are offering. I know one of the areas we are looking at, we're discussing at the board level, is export financing. You have persons who are into export who may have a contract, but they need to get it, there's a cost to get the goods out to wherever they're exporting, and they need some sort of interim financing. We're looking at that for our customers who probably could start off with those who have loans with us. That's one area we're exploring at this time. We're targeting specific groups. So we have to be creative in terms of what we're looking, the basket of goods that the basket of services that we are offering to our customers.
I think from the credit union's perspective, some of the things that we need to look at is to make sure that when our members come for a microfinance loan, that the business that they're getting into, we want to make sure that it's successful. Because if they are not successful, we won't be successful. They won't be repaying their loans. So some of the innovative things that I think credit unions can do is to provide like a one-stop kind of business center for the members, where they assist them with product development, with business planning.
That's a key point, because from last week's discussion, Mr. Singh pointed to the fact that he saw that, or that's been his experience, that we have quite a gap there. Yeah. You tell a small someone establishing a small business to come with a business plan, they don't know where to start. And how can we collate or coordinate the expertise that's in the country? Because there's a lot of expertise in this regard, but it appears that there's a tremendous barrier to accessing it by the small business people. I think that's one of the key areas that I believe both the DFC and the credit union should look at, because we were talking about risk a while ago, and by ensuring that you're putting that small investor on the right footing by doing proper business plan, in and of itself will pay you back, because you're mitigating risks. We really need to do a lot of that, but I believe it needs to be formalized.
We are embarking on a project with one or two of the credit unions. We're partnering with a current cap project that will provide credit unions with the capacity to do that sort of thing, to assist them to analyze their members, analyze the projects, make sure that the members themselves are able to make the project successful. You don't want to get involved. You don't want to give a loan just to give a loan for the sake. You have to make it successful. And also developing the credit unions to provide that sort of service to the membership.
Well, that is one of the areas, because in fact what I forgot to mention in the beginning, that is one of the areas that sets the DFC apart from a commercial bank in terms of technical assistance. Right now we are trying to fine-tune the credit delivery process because we know there's a lot of work to do there. So we don't want to take on technical assistance ourselves at this time within the next 2-3 years, but we figure we will be ready to go into that and have that in-house within another 2 or 3 years. But in the interim, what we are trying to do is collaborate with other institutions, for example, Beltrade. In fact, we are having a meeting this week to see what can be done, not only in terms of small and micro enterprise development, but providing technical assistance to our larger loans also. I always say a lot of people come to the corporation with an idea. We cannot fund an idea. DFC funds a project. So how do you get bridge that idea to into a business plan? And I think that is where organizations like Beltrade can come in. I could see us working with an organization like this in terms of helping us, not only in terms of retailing, we wholesale to them and they retail, but in terms of, I know they do accounting, helping clients to keep their financial records in order. I remember approving a large loan last year, but one of the conditions of disbursement was that they get a marketing plan because they were it was a high-end product and we had to ensure that it was marketed properly. These are the type of advice we will give when we do a project appraisal. And so we will give the loan based on the condition that you get a proper marketing plan before the final disbursement is made, because we also do phase disbursements. So if your first phase was to put up the cabaniers, your second phase was to furnish it, your third phase was the marketing plan, we will ensure that the monies that we invested are used according to what the phase.
For the intended purpose.
Yeah, I think it's clear that there's a need for collaboration, you know, between the different financial institutions, so that we don't reinvent the wheel, you know, we don't spend resources on things that another institution is doing quite well. We need to collaborate. One of the things too that is clear is that you don't just give a loan and that's the end of it. You know, there is need to you have to handhold. It's not like where you have somebody who is salaried and so you know there's salary deduction, that's easy. For a lot of these loans, you really have to hold their hands throughout the process to make sure it succeeds. So that's another area that we need to develop as well.
But you're doing a bit of it already.
We are doing quite a bit of it. We recognize the need we can't sit in the office anymore when you give a loan.
And even with that, your costs are still competitive.
It's true, but that is the point. If you do all that you should do to make sure that the loan is successful, the costs go up.
Right.
So you have to price accordingly.
Because that is where a significant of DFC cost goes in project implementation. You have we try to do it as efficiently as possible, like for instance the banana loans that we did. When we go and do supervision visits, we try to ensure that we visit more than one farm at a time. It's not always possible. But we just don't, as I said, after that first disbursement is given, we do a supervision visit to ensure that everything is in place. Because that way, you will be more assured that that loan will be repaid because the project is going according to what you anticipated as per the project appraisal.
Actively managing the portfolio is important.
I think I'd want to encourage all the lending institutions, including the commercial banks, that they absolutely need to pay close attention to this, the bridge that you referred to in terms of bringing idea actually to a project, to fruition.
Because some of these people have excellent ideas, but it didn't come from me, and you could see the passion when they're sitting in front of you, but there's nothing, what's your market? Miss, I don't know. And you know, and that is needed if we're going to promote entrepreneurial development in this country. We need to do it and stop saying that we will do it and start doing it as soon as possible. And as I said, I think the commitment is there from an organization like DFC. I think the support is there from the government of Belize that it will be supported financially.
there is need to understand, well, the education is important to our clients as well.
Yes.
Because, you know, they come with an idea and they think that this is it. But it is the institutions, it's the institutions' benefit for them to educate the client so that they know what you have to do a feasibility study. It's a good idea, but will it work? You know, it's our responsibility to provide that service.
We now go to a break. We'll be right back, Ms. Natalie. When last week we heard that pronouncement about potential national bank, and we want to touch that as we continue the discussion. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Zaina, and my life moves fast. I need an internet mobile solution that's fast, affordable, and easy to access. Thank goodness for Smart's new 3G portable internet modem. Check this out. Now I can get mobile broadband at fast speed. I can download my emails, update my status. All I need is this little USB modem. So go ahead, sign up for Smart's 3G mobile internet modem today and get moving while staying connected to the fastest 3G network in Belize.
Smart, bringing people together.
The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Western Union, has recently been distinguished by receiving the 5-Star Quality Service Award from Western Union.
The 5-Star Quality Service Award signifies that the Chamber holds the gold standard in outstanding customer service, in being courteous, efficient, and transparent in the services we provide.
Can you receive superior customer service at any of our Chamber locations?
Yes.
Come and visit us today!
This season, say happy holidays to your customers the personal way. Get your personalized corporate holiday greeting cards now at Idea Lab Studios, and we'll give you the design at 50% off with orders of 500 or more. Get your 2012 calendars ready too with custom desk, wall, and pocket calendars. Idea Lab Studios, where ideas take shape. Call us today at 223-6386 or visit our website at www.idealabstudios.com.
Welcome back. Ladies, last week the Prime Minister held a business forum in which he had an initial dialogue with a wide cross-section of the business community. The forum was to look at suggestions for policy options to jumpstart or to stimulate the private sector investment. He made a substantial announcement or pronouncement at that meeting on the establishment of a committee to look at the possibility of establishing a national bank, to transform the DFC into a national bank. An interesting concept. What's your initial take on that one, Ms. Natalie?
Well, I was surprised when I heard it. But I am somebody who is open. I think exploratory committee has been set up, and we need to let that committee do its work to see what really is out there, what can be done, if any, can be done to reduce interest rates. But I know becoming a bank comes with some responsibility. Right now, for instance, although DFC is supervised by the Central Bank of Belize, I don't think we could say DFC is regulated by the Central Bank of Belize. All the other requirements that some of the banks have, we don't have at this time. Although we are supervised by the Central Bank, I must say DFC is, I think, the only development bank in the region that comes under the Central Bank of Belize. So we are a step forward in that direction already. We wouldn't, but becoming a bank, you hear bank, you would say, well, deposits. you would start taking deposits in order, because that's where the commercial bank gets its funds to finance their loans. We get our funds from the international financial institutions. We borrow and then we on-lend, and then we lend. So you would expect that DFC would become a deposit-taking institution. That's another whole realm of banking that you will be getting into. Again, you will have to have liquidity reserves and things like that. We don't require liquidity reserves at the central bank at this time because we don't have deposits. And so all these things will need to be discussed. Not that it's not a good idea, but we have to look at exactly what will be required for us as a national bank. I know one of the things that we say about DFC at this time as a state-owned bank, or as a state-owned financial institution as we is that we don't require the margin of profits that maybe an international commercial bank would require. And so we may be able to, bring down interest rates a little bit less. We look at our cost of funds, we look at our administrative costs, we look at whatever risk that's associated, and we have a reasonable margin, because any institution needs to be making profits to reinvest in the development of that in that organization. Maybe the same thing would lend to being a commercial bank. The level of profits, and I don't know what that would translate to in terms of reduction of interest rates. So you could look at that. But at the same time, as I said, you will have reserve requirements and things like that coming on the other side. So I think all these things will be looked at. A committee has been set up, and we will have to be guided by that.
Is there a perspective from the league on this? However, initial?
Well, anything that would bring interest rate down, I think would be of interest to credit unions. There is, even though we talked a while ago about pricing the loans according to the risk, that is not to suggest that the interest rate should be high and out of the reach of the regular people, which the perception is that it is that way right now at some of the institutions. The interest rates are just too high. So I think that any organization that could work to make the interest rate lower for people, that's something that would be of interest there.
And Belize does, and I still think to a large extent has some of the highest interest rates in the region.
Especially
we also had up to about a year ago the highest deposit rates in the region.
Right.
But those have been going down.
And the rates for loans, have not been coming down.
Well, we heard that complaint at the forum, in particular from the Prime Minister himself, that the spread from the banks,
which I think is a complaint of the private sector.
Actually have increased. Yes, and he was articulating it as a concern from the private sector.
And it is, if you want persons to invest to stimulate, there must be some return that they will have. I also think the fact that Belize, being a country of a little over 300,000 people, has something to do in terms of the amount of returns you can make. While some countries may be able to accommodate, I don't know, or some cities may be able to accommodate 100 barbers. How many can we accommodate in Belize City? Exactly. So, and these are the things, before we make a loan, we will look at. We can do more, but we do our surveys. Well, how many barbers are there already? So will there be a market for you? But when we do that, we are seen as impeding development. So,
we spent most of the program discussing interest rate and the financial tools that you can offer. As I said, PM threw this wider policy discussion on DFC, but what, in your view, are other areas that we need to improve the investment climate, in particular for the SMEs? Well, from your perspective, where do you see need for additional improvement?
I think we need a credit bureau that would assist us too in determining interest rate. We need a credit bureau. One of the things with credit unions is that you're not supposed to be a member of more than one credit union, and that is always ground for a lot of discussion. but you don't want a situation where you have you have bad loans from one person, you know, at all the credit union.
Well, explain to the viewing public what that credit bureau would be.
Well, it would assist us to identify somebody who has a loan history. A lot of the loans that are given by credit unions are based on character, and so if you have a credit bureau, you will be able to access information to find out that this person's character
so
is
credit rating.
Yeah. And I think credit bureau don't only look at loans, but they look at whether you're renting.
Yes,
I mean, if you can't pay your
utilities
and things like that. So, yeah, that would have been one of my suggestions.
Yeah. And I must say though that the central bank, who is the regulatory body for the credit unions as well, is they're looking on developing a credit bureau.
As far as I'm aware, I think that is well on the way.
It's well on
I don't know if it's near launch, but the study has been done, and so hopefully we'll get that credit bureau, you know, within the next year or two. We'll have something on it.
And what are the areas?
You refer to technical assistance. And more than technical assistance, there needs to be education. In terms of micro-enterprise development in Belize, I don't think we'll go very far if the public is not enlightened. One of the problems we have right here in Belize is the fact that everybody believes that small loans are supposed to come with low interest rates. I know we are talking about low interest rates. But one of the reasons why we then have to do all the due diligence is that we want to ensure that the margin of risk is low. And that's why we do the due diligence. In India and those other countries, you can walk into an institution, give them a plan, and you practically walk out in a day or two with a small loan. But the interest rate is 20%. So they have covered their risk in that area. Plus they have volume on which they can work on. And so these things need to go there. And as I mentioned, there needs to be some institution that will provide technical assistance to these people in terms of doing one-page business plans, ensuring that their business are properly run and monitored. One of the areas we have...
Should that be a parallel institution, probably a part of the very same credit bureau, or is it something that you believe should be within the university or somewhere?
It can be within the university. I never thought of it of being in the credit bureau, but that's an option as long as it's working.
I think there's so many institutions in Belize that we could put our heads together to get this done, because there is a real need for it. There's a real need for education, and that will be part of it for the end client to understand that there are certain things that you need to have for you to embark on a business. The
whole issue of entrepreneurship in Belize needs to be focused on. For example, we have mom and pop businesses in Belize. They have started it, but they may need additional capital, whether it's to expand or something, and you say to them, well, sell some shares or bring in another investor. No. That's not, well, I think that's more culture. But these things we need to make people aware that you can give somebody 25% of your business, even if like it's in preferred shares for a period of time, and then, you know, people need to know all the, what are available in terms of business options.
I was at a microfinance forum in the Bahamas about a week ago, and there was one institution in Jamaica called Access Limited. They started very small. They were not deposit taking. It's a microfinance institution, not deposit taking. So it got seed capital from external sources. In about 4 years, it became so successful that it was listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. But they strategically they decided to sell some of their shares to an external body that assisted them in accessing additional financing. And so I was impressed with what they achieved, because I felt that that we could do that in Belize. You know, we don't have a stock exchange, but we could. I think that we could have a small institutions that can start and develop and be able to sell shares so that they could provide additional financing. But we have to educate, we have to know what we could do to be able to.
But Jamaica has a much wider network in terms of business support to small entrepreneurs.
Yes, they do.
Because I believe one of the shortfalls here in Belize is that we don't have not the technical assistance as it relates to your project, but product development, for example. We have a lot of people getting into bottled coconut water, bottled pepper, but the standard, the support is not there for them to develop their product, quite frankly, on a scientific basis, where it should be. Because while it might be acceptable on the domestic market, if you tend to go beyond that, it's an entire different framework.
It speaks to our small size as well, the small population that we have in terms of marketing some of these things. But I think what I learned from that is that it is possible for small enterprises to be successful. And what that institution did really was they provided financing for small and micro enterprises. But even with our small population, I think that we could come together to make sure that there's sufficient support for these enterprises to succeed.
And that is what I referred to. And maybe education was not the verb word, and it's a combination of education and support, because as I think our population has something to do with it. And so if those businesses are going to be survived, they can't only think Belize.
That's right.
They need to think region. We have the financing. Take, for example, our cassava bread. Why is that not in the region? But you have to meet certain standards. I don't know if it's HACCP or whatever. We have the financing, but somebody needs to be out there to provide the support. And I refer to it as education, but it's not, possibly not, it's that institutional support that is needed. Because then, if we have, as I said, with this limited population, you could only have so many business when you have too many. But if you have a wider market that you're...
And another thing too, Natalie, is that we have so many Belizeans living abroad. That could be a market for some of the...
Well, I believe what we always fail to realize too is that there's competition on our market. And the imported product coming in is properly labeled, properly packaged. And there's this notion of it, or the perception of it being a better product
because of the way it's packaged.
So I think we really need to push more and more the need for quality and standard development.
That's true.
Product development as a whole. We must now go to our final break. We'll be right back.
This season, say happy holidays to your customers the personal way. Get your personalized corporate holiday greeting cards now at Idea Lab Studios, and we'll give you the design at 50% off with orders of 500 or more. Get your 2012 calendars ready too with custom desk, wall, and pocket calendars. Idea Lab Studios, where ideas take shape. Call us today at 223-6386 or visit our website at www.idealabstudios.com.
Brothers Habet's amazing 28th anniversary sale. Brothers Habet has been serving Belize for 28 great years, and we're celebrating bigger than ever with a month full of great deals and savings like 30% off select Moen products, 30% off butane water heaters, 20 to 30% off Hunter fans, 20% off all windows, 20% off all power tools and shop tools, 30% off compact fluorescent bulbs, and up to 80% off clearance items in our super yard sale. And best of all, 20% off all his Pacenza tiles all month long. Too much deals for one commercial, so see store for details. Come, celebrate with us for huge pre-Christmas savings all month long. Brothers Habet's amazing 28th anniversary sale. 115 Barak Road, we're open through lunch.
The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Western Union, has recently been distinguished by receiving the 5-Star Quality Service Award from Western Union.
The 5-Star Quality Service Award signifies that the Chamber holds the gold standard in outstanding customer service, in being courteous, efficient, and transparent in the services we provide.
Can you receive superior customer service at any of our Chamber locations?
Yes. Visit us today!
Welcome back to the final segment. Before we go to the discussion, I want to remind our audience out there that they could email us your views on the topic and on tonight's discussion at businessperspective@belize.org, or you can post a comment on the Chamber's Facebook page, or better yet, for our members, you can use the virtual meeting place that is part of the Chamber's website portal and post your comments there. The address is www.belize.org/VMP. Please provide us your feedback. Miss Natalie, your final thoughts.
I think this discussion has shown tonight that there needs to be more collaboration among financial institutions. And I must say DFC, not only financial institution, but support organization in terms of ensuring development in this country. DFC stands ready to work with other financial institutions. And to the public, I must also invite them to visit the DFC's offices. We have our headquarters office is located in Belmopan. We have offices in Belize City, in Orange Walk, in Danbriga, and in San Pedro. We have a wide range of products to offer in the productive sector, mortgage financing, and student loans, and specialized areas also. Visit one of our DFC offices and work with us. We will work with you.
Ms. Corine?
Well, my final statement, times are tough. And there is no need for us to be reinventing. We have different institutions that we could collaborate, that was my word as well, that we could collaborate together to make sure that the people we serve are provided with the services that will make them successful. They succeed, we will succeed as well.
I agree with you. I'm glad that you picked that theme, because from the first show we had in this investment series, the gist of that show was...
And this was not rehearsed.
No, the gist of that show was dialogue with a purpose. And I think more and more as we get into this discussion and dig into the investment topic, we're seeing where this is absolutely necessary. Viewers, again, please send us your comments, your views. Ladies, thank you very much for a very interesting discussion, and we certainly will have you back. Thank you very much, and have a good night.